You're watching In Search of the Self, and Shakun is still with us. Are you spiritually awakened? Are you ready for change? Shakuntala, you were asking a question last time about being spiritually awakened, and we were talking about Jesus Christ. So Jesus Christ, being a Christian, he did not teach about Christianity. In fact, he taught about spirituality.
I want to correct it here, Roshan. You said it so sweetly. Jesus was a Jew.
Oh yes, of course, of course.
He was of the Jewish faith.
100%.
He was not Christian at all. He did not know anything about Christianity. He was referring all the time to the Jewish, the prophets of the Jewish religion. He was still with Moses. But those who followed Jesus after crucifixion, people like Paul and Matthew and Luke and all the disciples, they started thinking, better talk about Jesus, not about the Jewish religion. This is the split. But actually, Jesus is a Jew, and he was crucified as a Jew. People thought he was the king of the Jews. So he has never been Christian during his life.
It was never a question of Christian or Christianism. It was always a point of being a better person and being spiritually awakened by going inside
yourself. Yeah. When Jesus started preaching and when he started talking about the Sermon on the Mount, which is so beautiful, what does he tell you? Be humble.
Yes.
He tells you, be generous, be honest.
Be good to one another.
Be kind, turn the other cheek. I mean, he is talking about a saint.
And he practiced what he preached.
He practiced what he preached. Every time they would catch him, hey, tu pape ka sabat la? Sabat means a day when you're not supposed to do any work. He says, God sa écrit que o pa kapab faire bon quelque chose dans sabat?
Yes.
He changes the meaning of the day of Sabbath. If you want to do something good, you don't say, no, day of Sabbath, pubs affair. You are not literal.
There's a lot of habits that have become traditions over time, and people say, hey, pas bon, pas casse tradition, hold on to it. But you must use your mind, but also keep a genuine and clean heart. If you have good intentions.
My point to you, Roshan, is when you go before a temple, say you're having a Krishna temple or a Hanuman temple, how pure you are. But when you're before Hanuman, tu peux penser, ah, sa voisin, sa chifila, li assez joli là. So you see, you're not pure. So in the same way, Jesus told the Jews and the others, all the others, he says, écoutez, wherever you are, you can be pure. And don't harm others. He says somebody has done some harm to you. Forgive and forget. This is new language. And this frightened the Jewish temple priests. They said, "Eh toi, kiri pe jela, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth." No,
Yes.
So they hated Jesus for bringing another level of reality. He was more mature. Jesus was more mature.
He was trying to help people be
more human.
Less immature and
More
less judgmental and more human, more spiritual.
Voilà.
But probably that also was part of the reason why he was crucified.
Absolutely.
So Shakuntala, please tell us more about the crucifixion.
There was a story when Jesus heals a blind man.
Yes.
Of
course.
And after a while, say a few years, he sees the fellow in the crowd. He says, "Et toi, mon pain guéri toi là, mon pain donne toi tout délisier. Tu connais qui avec la jelly? C'est et toi Zako. Il appelle Maître Zako. Qui fait te fin donne mon délisier? Moi fin commettre 4 murders avec sa délisier là. Tu fin besoin laisse-moi avec mon blindness, avec moi fin avec, tu fin besoin laisse-moi comme ça. Qui fait te fin guérir moi?" Jesus realized, oh my God, I'm dealing with somebody who's malade. I'm dealing with somebody sick. I'm dealing with somebody violent.
Yes.
So he realized this is the level. So he calls them hypocrites. He appelle eux toute qualité non, parce que dit quoi qu'ils ont plus bas qu'ils animaux.
So this is where Jesus goes and tries to teach us how to be
human, how to be spiritual and not to divide. Pas divise les peuples, pas divise les gens.
Let's take an example. Everyone around you is spiritually awakened. Everyone is good, everyone is genuine. That would be boring.
Why would it be boring? Are you bored with your mother who's always good to you? Are you bored with people who are kind to you? You want trust, you want love. You are never bored with that because you are grateful. Because when you get trust, when you get love, this is the meaning of spirituality.
And it magnifies.
But of course, and it is such a beautiful world.
There's one saying from Jesus where I wouldn't say contradicts Moses. He says love for the enemies. That's one of his sayings. And he talks also about charity, prayer.
I love the love for the
judging.
enemies. 1 minute.
Please share.
Yes. But you know, love for the enemies, he said, écoute ça, Roshan. Toi, tu peux compter moi parce que moi déjà ton camarade. Mais toi, tu peux compter ton ennemi. C'est une nouvelle affaire. Ça veut dire qu'il peut s'aimer toi d'un grade un peu plus haut.
I don't understand.
See, you are my friend.
Yes.
So when you love me, it's no big thing.
Okay.
Moi, donne-toi, je te donne-moi, je te nous mange, donc à te puis moi, we're happy.
We're happy.
But à ce temps, moi, pas content toi.
I won't like you for that.
So now you have to learn to be better. Tu besoin dire, Chakou pas content moi. Comment me faire un zeste que Chakou peut doucement content moi? Tu besoin changer toi. Tu besoin être meilleur du monde toi. Tu redonne-moi j'étais avec un l'amour propre, un l'amour pur. Ça qui peut dire.
Just like people had given power to Hitler, so probably if you did not like me anymore was probably a reason why. I must have done something for you not to like, so probably
That is one.
raison là-dedans.
But I'm going beyond that.
Yes.
I am saying we are both don't like each other. How do you change this hatred? Change the hatred energy into love energy. One of us has to say, hey, kasa hatred la, Roshan, no albuantastite. While we are drinking tea, nous faisons un échange, moi j'ai toi un peu mon problème, toi tu as ton problème. Après, quand nous échangeons ce problème-là, you find out that we are human.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
But that also joins a lot.
You grow higher. You become a better
But that
being.
joins a lot of what Mahatma Gandhi also has taught about ahimsa, non-violence, and how.
100%. But the Buddha
Also.
only talks about forgiveness. And he says you cannot remove darkness. How do you remove darkness, Roshan? Bring
By
light.
light.
You amènes un petit la lumière. Après,
That's one candle.
la
you light up,
noité
there's
pour
one
aller, noité pour aller.
Okay.
Avec ça, la lampe là.
Shakuntala, we don't have much time left. Please tell us more about the crucifixion. I wouldn't say the most, but
The climax.
The climax of his
The story.
Yeah.
Now, there is a lot of stories about Jesus being resurrected after being on the cross.
Yes.
And also the fact that when he came down from the cross, he was wrapped in a lot of medicines and herbs which would heal his wounds. I assume he never died on the cross.
Okay.
And he goes into the cave where he's kept, and he goes out of the cave also. But why would you have medicine if there is a dead man? You would not use medicine if the person is already dead on the cross.
Yes.
So when he is wrapped in that linen, white linen with lots of medicine, for me it means the person is not dead, but is lying there in the cave, the burial cave, and he's covered with all these aloes and so many medicinal plants. And at that time they used to have a terrific medicine to dissolve pain. So he was wrapped in all this to dissolve the pain of all these wounds. So when he is wrapped by people who care for him and love him, and he's taken away from there, there is a story that he travels from there and he disappears from this place where he is, the Calvary and the place of crucifixion, the Golgotha, and he travels away from this place. Mary Magdalene sees him.
Where does he go?
He, according to some stories, he goes far into the north of India. But as I said, I cannot pronounce myself. There are theories, and those who do the database and those who do the research will have to go deeper into this. But Mary Magdalene, who sees the Master, she says, Rabboni. Rabboni means Master. She says, oh, you are there. She hardly recognizes him because he's got this cloak on him, the white. And then Jesus goes and meets his disciples. He says, come feel. All the wounds are there, so he's alive.
Yes.
And then he disappears from the disciples. So the crucifixion and the resurrection are very, very, very beautiful aspects of the Bible. But the crucifixion for me...
What is the main story behind it?
The crucifixion means Jesus is not dead. Jesus, the spiritual being, cannot die. This is the beauty of it. You may crucify the body, but the resurrection shows you cannot kill the spirit of man.
I've heard that somewhere.
So we leave our audience with a very big thought that we have to go beyond religious differences and go to the spirit of the human being, which is beautiful.
And not stick to the physical aspect and material aspect of everything.
There is the beautiful Satyam Shivam Sundaram, there is the beauty, there is the goodness, and there is the awareness. So if you don't have spiritual awareness, start looking for it, because you are not just a Muslim. You are not just a Hindu. You are not just a Christian or a Jew. There is more to you. What is that more? That is spirituality.
And we are all part of it.
We are all part of the same spirit.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Shakuntala.
Thank you.
We have now come to the end of this episode. Tune in again for another episode.